Hi, my name is Lucy Smith from Inclusive Change, an organisation that talks about building the future of work with neurodiversity in mind. And in this video, we're going to talk about some tips for recruitment of neurodivergent candidates. Creating a neurodiverse friendly workplace means breaking down barriers and creating a safe and inclusive space for every colleague to do their best work and thrive. The first step to achieving this is in our recruitment processes. So, why is it important to consider neurodiversity in recruitment? Neurodivergent individuals can struggle to stay in the workplace. Many will experience mental health issues at work, and 8 times as many neurodivergent people are unemployed compared to neurotypical people. Many neurodivergent people are not yet confident about disclosing their disability or will not yet have a formal diagnosis, so feel that they may not feel able to request adjustments. Here are some more reasons. Getting the best candidates for your roles, thinking about reasonable adjustments under the Equality Act 2010, and removing barriers to recruitment. All of these are great reasons why we need to think about neurodiversity in our inclusive hiring processes. Tip number 1 is something you can consider before interview, and that is providing information and questions in advance. This can be very helpful for neurodivergent candidates, but it can be helpful for everyone. Providing questions in advance can level the playing field for candidates who may require additional time to prepare or process information. More and more companies are providing interview questions in advance. For example, in 2024, John Lewis and Waitrose announced that they will do this for all roles to allow candidates to prepare in advance. When providing questions in advance, please make sure candidates are aware that there may be follow-up questions during the interview. These follow-up questions are important to demonstrate real experience and authenticity. Neurodivergent candidates may ask for questions in advance as a reasonable adjustment. This can be viewed as a disadvantage by some, but the Equality Act 2010 makes clear that reasonable adjustments that favour a disabled person over a non-disabled person do not constitute unlawful discrimination. Tip number 2 is adapting or modifying communication. When interviewing neurodivergent candidates, it's crucial to be mindful of communication differences and adapt our questions accordingly. Some candidates may excel in written communication, but struggle in verbal interactions, and vice versa. By offering adjustments, we can assess candidates based on their proficiency in communication rather than their ability to navigate a specific interview format. Providing adjustments such as extra time or written prompts in interviews can allow candidates to showcase their skills in a way that aligns with their strengths. So, tip 3 is aligning atypical answers to assessment criteria. A neurodivergent candidate may provide an answer that is not typical or is unexpected, but which may not be incorrect. So it's important to consider your approach and response to these answers. A neurodivergent candidate will think differently, so they may answer a question in a very literal way. For example, tell me a bit about yourself may mean a lot of things, so an answer could include, I'm 26, I live in Bristol, and I like Taylor Swift. Not incorrect, but not particularly relevant. It's helpful to be a bit more explicit. So, for example, tell me a bit about your career in people management. It's crucial to adapt questions accordingly, using clear and concise language, avoiding ambiguous or hypothetical scenarios, and providing extra time for formulating responses. Focus on core competencies and skills relevant to the role, rather than relying on traditional interview formats. Align questions with specific job requirements and assess candidates based on their ability to demonstrate these skills. This ensures a fair and objective evaluation process for all applicants, regardless of neurodiversity. Tip number 4 is consider non-verbal communication. Neurodivergence can manifest itself in many ways, including differences in non-verbal communication. It's essential to recognise that traditional hiring processes may have inadvertently disadvantaged neurodivergent individuals who may not conform to typical non-verbal behaviours. This can be things such as eye contact, handshakes, or body language. Some traditional norms can include not giving direct eye contact. For an autistic and sometimes ADHD candidates, eye contact can be painful and distracting, so they may look elsewhere when answering questions. Or atypical body language. Stimming may be part of a person's natural body movements, especially when stressed or anxious. Many people will suppress natural behaviours like hand flapping, twitches, or leg tapping, but some will find this very difficult. A candidate with Tourette's, for example, may have involuntary tics or body movements, such as shoulder movements or facial movements. These attributes and body language should not form part of your decision-making process. To mitigate this, we can focus on evaluating candidates based on their qualifications, experience, and potential contributions to the role, rather than relying on non-verbal cues. Additionally, providing alternative methods for candidates to demonstrate their skills, such as through written exercises or portfolio reviews, can help ensure a more inclusive evaluation process. Tip number 5. Consider the environment. While we may not always have full control over the interview environment, we can take reasonable steps to minimize sensory stressors and distractions. This could include scheduling interviews during quieter times or providing access to quiet waiting areas if possible. If you schedule an interview for 10:15 a.m., it's likely your candidate will arrive at a quieter time rather than 9 a.m. when students are looking for lectures and seminars and they may be able to travel outside of the rush hour. Being flexible and responsive to individual needs, we can create a more inclusive and supported environment for all candidates. Tip number 6. Online or in-person interviews. Online interviews can greatly increase flexibility and accessibility for neurodivergent candidates, particularly for those who may experience challenges with in-person interactions. You may also find that this supports other candidates, such as those with travel limitations. We can accommodate requests for online interviews by ensuring that technology used is user-friendly and accessible, providing clear instructions in advance, and offering other reasonable adjustments as needed. Emphasising the importance of creating an inclusive interview experience regardless of the format can help reassure candidates and promote equal opportunity. Tip number 7. Think about providing information in different formats. Offering information and materials prior to interview in multiple formats, such as written, visual, or audio formats, can accommodate a diverse range of learning and communication styles. Tip number 8. Adapting assessments and tests. You may want to consider some of the assessments and tests that you use as part of your recruitment campaign. For example, a situational judgment test may disadvantage an autistic candidate who may need extra time or may find the questioning vague and difficult to decipher. You could consider alternatives such as practical tasks or portfolio reviews to evaluate candidates. Be clear on the purpose of any test that you are including at interview and the requirement that this is designed to test. This will enable you to determine if the test is needed or if there are other, more inclusive ways that this skill or experience might be demonstrated. For example, could the candidate discuss how they would approach a specific task rather than being asked to complete the task within a set time? Candidates may also request specialist software or equipment to alleviate any disadvantage that they may experience in attempting to complete the task to a required standard during interview. Examples of this may be a screen reader or speech-to-text software. Tip number 9. Neurodiversity is about everyone. It's important to highlight that the adjustments and tips that I've spoken about can benefit all candidates by promoting fairness, inclusivity, and accessibility. By embedding these practices as standard procedure, we not only create a more welcoming and supportive environment for neurodivergent individuals, but foster a culture of diversity and inclusion. This can ultimately lead to a more diverse and talented workforce that reflects the varied perspectives and experiences of our society, our students, and our community. And finally, tip number 10. If in doubt, ask. Please do get in touch with your HR business partner, the resourcing team, or contact the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion team.